Yes, it's good to go. All right, folks, welcome along to the live Q&A here on Quad Rangers TV. It's Ben, your host for the evening. This week we have Colin Boyd, chairman, and we have manager Christian. How you doing? How you doing, gents?
Very well.
Good, thanks. Good.
How's your lockdown going? Colin, we'll go with you first. How's your lockdown?
Don't know. It's just been Groundhog Day for 12 weeks. So try to keep myself busy, which involves pretty much 80% of my time been spent at Colin Rangers. But aye, good.
What about you, Chris? Apart from being a hairdresser, how are you getting on?
Aye, it's been good. It's been okay. I've spent a lot of time with the family doing things probably on a Saturday that you would never do because of football and stuff like that. Been a lot of walks and stuff like that. Last Saturday, I think it was the week before, I had a really good day with my two youngest ones. I took them over to Irvine on the bikes. We went a long cycle and we went out over the back into Eggy Park and showed them all the things I used to get up to as a kid. And my middle one started wading through the middle of the river at Eggy Park. So aye, a lot of interesting things.
Excellent. So obviously we're kind of in between seasons at the moment. The season had ended back in essentially March, wasn't it? We're moving across to the West of Scotland Football League. Colin, we'll come to you first. Just give us a bit of an update where we're at in terms of the league itself and what's kind of been done so far for the new league.
So basically, there's not really much other than we've applied and been accepted. They kind of send emails out every now and then with a bit of information, but there's nothing. They don't have any start date. They don't have any. They've got the format of the league in the three conferences. They've kind of sorted out. Well, they haven't sorted out relegation and promotion. There's going to be a Zoom chat this week or next week. We're
prepared. I've got 16 players signed now, both new and existing. So we'll be prepared and ready for when the season starts. There's a lot of excitement about, as Colin just kind of alluded to there with the format. If you end up with 7 teams that are going to get relegated out of a 20-team league, you're really getting over a third of your league, which in my mind would be a bit much. But again, there wouldn't be anything such as a meaningless game if you're looking at that. But in terms of us and where we're at, we would hope to avoid that in that relegation mix. But if you've got a third of teams going in, it doesn't take long for a wee run of form and you're looking over your shoulder. So preparations are good and we're ready to go as soon as we can get the nod to get training again. And
obviously we're still working away trying to get its best things prepared in terms of the ground and things like. Colin, just can you give us a summary what's still been able to be done and how we're progressing on that?
Aye, sure. I'm just going to read the notes. If I look, I'm straining my eyes or something. I'm reading what's on the screen. So the update on the pitch is we've added 2 60-metre drains, which were done by the volunteers last week. The park's now been fertilised. It'll probably get seeded next week or the week after it. Then we'll start looking to put small repairs to get the park kind of a bit flattened again and get it kind of leveled back out. The club have also managed to buy their own turf cutter and spreader, which has meant we can do a lot of stuff now at the park that we've never been able to do before. And the new building, if you haven't seen it, it's all been joined together. So the floor's been complete now on the roof. Gary Brown and Charlie, they're about 40% for there. We've had a great help for Ian Stewart, Jordan Stewart's dad. He's provided us with a couple of joiners, 2 or 3 joiners over the last couple of weeks, days there that helped us kind of speed things up. The internal walls, we're waiting on building control to get back to us about an insulation problem. And I met with Deanie the night to put a plan together to get electricity into the building. I'll need a wee hand for our good supporter, Alan Caldwell, to get that. In terms of the floodlights, York City are still closed. There's no further forward there. The deal still stands as it is, but they're in kind of proper furlough down there. They're not allowed access to the ground, anything. So we were struggling. We had a company lined up to take the floodlights down for us and load them onto a lorry and send them up. That company are now too busy because all their jobs piled up. So we're going to have to look for either another contractor to take these floodlights down. If there's anybody out there that knows metal worker, I suppose it would be, that would be interested in helping us, we might have to get in ourselves with a couple of vans and our tools and get a go and just rent in telehandlers and stuff when we get there. In terms of the stands, we put the planning application in there about 2 weeks ago for 2 30-metre stands, one behind the goals, one where the terracing bit is, and 6 7-metre stands at the far side. The plan is to put all the stands up in one go. However, get the plan in, and it means over the next, I think the planning application will either be 3 years or 5 years. 3 or 5 years we can increase those stands. However, North Ayrshire Council come back asking us for car parking reports. We've since increased the parking at the back of the club. We've increased it for another 50 cars. Where the buildings get moved, I think we freed up 20 spaces in the main car park and 44 spaces in the overflow car park. So we're running about an extra 100 spaces. So we should be fine for that. And then we're going to be looking for a contractor to build us the stands. Hopefully there's somebody local that can do it for us. And that's really it in terms of that.
Right, looking ahead then to kind of football, obviously it's totally different. It's going to be different when we do eventually get back. How do you see kind of football from a fan's point of view, perhaps being like in social distancing and all that kind of stuff that we're going to have to adhere to at some point?
Well, the plan we've looked at is we originally, when we measured the park out and we were measuring it for fences, we reckoned, and I think I get shot down at the time for this. I think we'd put a safe capacity of 900 to 1200, which was slightly less than Abbey Park. However, we thought that would us to get 1,000 people at a game would be a one-off game. It's not going to happen every week. Maybe if we went up through the leagues it would, but we can adjust things as we go. So for us to maybe get 300 people in there, it would be essentially our social distancing plan where if you look where an advertising board was, you'd put 2 people behind each board all the way around the ground. But then we'd need to then restrict access to take away toilets and things like that. So we're not 100% there how we do it with social distancing, but we reckon we could probably set up at the 240 to 280 in the ground with them. That would be in pairs, people coming in pairs. So father and son or whatever, and standing there maybe a metre to about 1.5 metres away from another person, and we would be asking them to remain there for the majority of the park. That's really, we can't really open without 100% of our fans there. The club's 100% reliable. We need the bar open, we need hospitality, we need the catering. Our budgets are all based on these things, and if we were to try and open without that, then we'd have some problems financially. But we're going to look at it anyway, because we can always talk to the players and we can talk to the people that are costing things to try and get the games back on. So if we were to run at a 50% capacity, we can try something. But I'm definitely looking at it and making plans. Whether we'll ever use them, I don't know.
In terms of then, if you did have to go down the route of kind of half a capacity, would you look at something like perhaps like live streaming the game for people to watch on kind of online or things like that?
Well, I suppose that's really one for the fans that are watching this. Would you pay to watch the live stream? Because the live stream wouldn't cost a huge amount of money, but we need bodies, we need equipment, we need these things. Live streaming we can do. I've done it in the past for gigs. It's just labour intensive, and you need a fair bit of start-up money to get it. You're going to need 5-6 cameras, tripods. We need to put stations up for it. We need to try run it and test it. So it's definitely something we would look at doing, but it's really up to the fans. Would they be interested in watching the Buffs on the live stream if they couldn't get tickets? The other thing would be is in a social distance environment, we'd have to ticket the games.
Yeah.
You'd only get in with a ticket. So that we'd have to look at that as well.
Yeah, I guess the tickets would be obviously kind of first come, first served, and once they're sold out, that's it. There's no other way to watch the game, and as such, we'd have to obviously make sure that people aren't coming to try and get in on the day and things like that. So yeah, I think personally, just talking about the live stream, I think I've obviously got a lot of interest in that kind of area, and I think it works. I think it could happen, but I think it, as you said, it may be difficult because we do rely heavily on the gate money and things like that, and the bar's been open. So it will depend on the fans really having a want and will pay the money. As you say, not sure what kind of costume we'd look at for that, but it's certainly something I think we'd have to get some feedback from the fans. So if you are watching and you do enjoy these streams, for example, let us know. Would you watch a game live on YouTube? And if football does have to start behind closed doors, just on that, Chris, coming to you, football behind closed doors, what do you think of that as an option?
There's a number of things that concern me about it. For example, I just did a risk assessment for return to work for the guys that are coming back to work for me. And there's a number of ways in which you can make sure that you're in a safe environment, and things that we probably haven't explored. I think it's time that the clubs, together with the appropriate bodies, sat down and worked out, again, are the grounds able to be risk assessed properly? Colin there spoke about catering. You can safely queue as long as you're wearing a mask and things like that. Might be that there's entry into the ground if you've got a face covering and things like that. But you're much more likely to be exposed to the virus as such going to the supermarket in an indoor environment where there's a lot of surfaces than you are in an outdoor area watching a game of football. That's just fact. There's other things that you can look at, maybe subsidising the income side of things. There are guys who can't go to the pub any longer to share a beer or anything like that. I know the law was passed in 1980 that you weren't allowed to attend sporting events and have a drink, but we've moved on. It might be time for us to revisit that and look at, can we serve the guy a couple of beers and let him stand with his mates and watch the football? You're going to be allowed to stand in an environment where you're allowed to see, I think in phase 2, there's allowed to be 8 people that you see, or people from 8. Or I don't know if it's different families or such. I need to look into that. But if you're trusting people to remain at a social distance and they are abiding by social distancing rules, which will come into fruition in phase 2, I don't see why you can't have football and maximise income. But the authorities are going to have to come together along with the government and sit down and say, yep, you can do that, you can do that, you can't do that, and see whether it's viable for the clubs to return. To say football return right away to the way that we knew it, I think that's a good bit away. But there are ways in which you can maximise income, ways in which you can obviously deliver to the fans. Might be that we have to have a kiosk at the other end of the ground to subsidise or to help the flow of the crowds and whatnot. We can do these things as long as we've got permission to do them, and it allows us to generate the income that's sufficient for football to return. And I think that's what the fans want. They don't want to come to a diluted version of the game where they have to stand and no interact or no be able to spend their money. It's entertainment after all that they're coming to the games for. And again, you asked the question probably at the outset, and it's a long-winded way of answering it. I really don't think I would enjoy going to the games and we're playing in kind of soulless environments. Part of the interaction for the fans, and don't get me wrong, I could do without the interaction of some fans, but part of the interaction with the fans is why we enjoy the game, and to have them not there or to have a reduced capacity, a diluted version of football, I don't think I would enjoy it myself, or all the players would in that regard.
Yeah, I think I've watched a bit of the Bundesliga, for example, and you watch those big empty stadiums, and it just doesn't seem like the same kind of football you're used to watching. It's very, very dull and almost like a pre-season game. I always feel when I watch those games. And I don't think that'd be great. I think a lot of the fans enjoy the kind of the rivalries with other fans and things like that, and I don't think that would conduce itself well to our level of football. One thing we released some new details about on Monday was the new under-20s development league, and we've put a team in. Colin, do you want to just give us a bit of a flavour of what's happened there, and what it's going to look like in terms of a setup?
Chris will probably be better to describe what will happen functionally. However, the West of Scotland, well, it's not the West of Scotland, it's the Lowland Development League. Yeah. Currently, there's 30 teams in it. Last season, around about 30 teams, and I believe 30 teams in the West have applied already. So that's going to make it pretty much one of the biggest development organisations in Scotland at that level, or at any level, with 60 teams spread across the East and the West. So pretty much a lot of world rivals are in there, and I've announced Med have got one, Pollock, I'm not 100% sure, Bede have got a team in there. So there's going to be a lot of teams in there. They're going to be played on a Friday night, 79:30 on the Astro. There might be admission, there might not be admission, we don't know. Basically, running the under, where some clubs, you're allowed to charge for admission, however, we're not 100% sure what we're going to do, but running under 20s is a wee bit expensive. It's coming out of the club. The club are paying for a bit of it. But I don't know whether we'll just add it on as add a tenner onto your season ticket and you get into all the under 20s matches as well. Maybe that's something the supporters watching this could ask. Would they be interested in watching the Friday night games? I know it's something I'll be interested in taking on. One of the big problems before was that the under 21s played at the same time as us, so it's very hard for anybody to see the under 20s players, let alone the manager or anybody for the committee or the training team, because all they were basing that on was the Monday night, the Wednesday night training. So it's really hard to get an eye for what a player can do on a match day. Hopefully that will fix this. And it should keep players in the game a bit longer, and that's really why we're taking it. The last stage, the last meeting for the West region, I made this point that we should maybe have an under-20s league, and nobody seemed interested in it, and it just seems like 4 months of a difference. There's now 30 teams. So I'm looking forward to it. So over to Chris about how it'll work.
Yeah, I've been a big advocate of this for long and weary. I spoke at length to other managers and tried to kind of get a movement going towards this. There seemed to be a lot of distance between clubs and their particular youth teams. Although they had, maybe some of them had the same name, they didn't have a direct affiliation with each other. And it's something that I've been driving, and again with the coaches down at the training facility, is to include the kids and give them a clear direct pathway to the football team. You just need to look at the likes of Ben Lewis, who plays with us, who came directly from an under-16 team. He's playing for his hometown team, he's motivated by it, gets paid to do it, and for want of a better phrase, he's probably somewhere that gives him a good bit of satisfaction in playing with his local team. So I know there's a lot of boys that come to the games, I see them, and for us to create an environment to allow them to get to that team, it can only stand us in good stead. If you've got a young, hungry guy who wants to do well for his hometown team, then it bodes well. A lot of people unfairly at times get accused of being mercenaries in terms of turning up for a pay packet. But if you've got guys that are playing for their hometown team, that know the guys that are standing about, watching them and driving them on, then you're due to get a bit of affinity between your crowd and your team, and that's something that we're striving towards. I think we are ahead of the game, given the facilities that we have, given the close links that we've established, and we should, in the next 2 or 3 years, see some of these boys starting to come in. It's a very big jump between youth football and top level. I was going to call it junior football there, but the top level kind of semi-professional non-league football. And when we started at the start and we were in the district leagues, we were able to blood these young boys. An example would be the lad Lewis Hunter, who went to Stirling University and played with East Fife last season. Lewis came in and played with us, didn't look at a place at 18, 19. Could he have made that jump to the level that we're at currently? It may be a wee bit of a push for him. But there is an environment for the kids to go straight into the teams when they become physically ready. And I think that 20s age group's a good thing as well. What we've done is to promote predominantly the under-17s team that was in the semi-final of the Scottish Cup for their age group. They have got a management team there that involves Michael Wardrobe, a former player of the club. Glenn Lewis is a coach who's Ben's brother, and Stephen Forrest, who's taken the team really since they were young kids. And that team obviously have grown, and there's a lot of local players that play with them, and we've got high hopes for 4 or 5 of them in terms of their development. If they develop in the same trajectory that they've been doing in the last couple of years, then they should hit the first team in the next couple of years. So we've got high hopes for them. Derek Fry's been added into the coaching mix with them, so that we've got a direct link with the first team. Derek's been involved in recruitment. Obviously, he's involved in junior football for a number of years. But Derek's remit there with the team is to coach and develop the kids so that they're ready to come into the junior environment. and having somebody with Michael's experience, again, Michael played with me at Irvine Meadow, and I'm not allowed to say that in this chat, but Michael played with me at Meadow, and he's a winner. He's been involved as a coach there, and what he can impart on them is the mentality that's required to break through and play into our team, and that's something that we're big on. The technical ability of kids nowadays is better than it was probably when I played, and I know a lot of guys look at it and say, oh, they'll go through roast into glass and say, oh, football in the 80s was harder and we were better and we would make mincemeat of this and whatever else. The kids nowadays are technically superior because of the ball mastery skills that they have compared to what we used to have. But what they don't probably have is the same mentality that you had, because when you played in the street, you were playing with 18, 19-year-olds when you were 6 or 7. That's what we all did. We all had a ball, one ball amongst everybody else, and you get mucked in, stuck in. And for me, they need to obviously get that range. If you're 16 and you are physically strong and dominant at your own age group, you should be really pushing yourself to make first team playing with adults by the time you're 18. So you can stagnate, and I think that's where maybe youth football's been for a wee while, that you play with your own age group, you stick at that own age group, and you don't progress at the rate you should progress. There's loads of studies into peaks and troughs of development and when they should jump up and when they should jump back, but it's about creating a trajectory that allows them to progress within their ability. And as I say, with the technical ability that they have nowadays, and the things that they're doing to teach them how to control, pass the ball, then there's a part missing, because we're not getting the success in the number of players through. And the part missing for me is that we don't expose them to adult football early enough so that they understand what it's like in a team environment. If you look at pro youth systems and youth football, they're looking for 1-2 players out of that team. Might sound hypocritical. I'm looking for 1 or 2 players. I'd be delighted with that. But those kids are competing with each other for a position that might be to catch the manager's eye on a given day. So they become individualistic and kind of self-centred. And then they get thrust into a team environment where they have to put themselves second and the team first. And a lot of them are not used to that. And there's an immaturity in their behaviour along that line. So hopefully Michael and Derek can impart that knowledge about the level of football that we played, and they become ready to be included in our environment earlier than probably what they would be if they weren't involved.
In terms of, like, for example, training, will the 20s team be training kind of alongside the first team? How's that going to work? Yeah,
hopefully we'll have both of a half a pitch each, and if there's guys there that we think are pushing, they'll come in and train with us. Similarly, if there's guys that come for the 20s and get in the team, then it'll be the 20s' job to replenish their own unit and obviously find players to replace them. So it becomes a conveyor belt, for want of a better word. The challenge for the lads who they'll be training beside us, hopefully, as I say, and the challenge for them is to prove that they're better than the guys that are playing in the first team in their position. And similarly, the guys in the first team have to respond to that challenge. I can remember going into Colin and being a wee brash, mouthy chap. I remember joining in training with the first team, and I think I nutmegged Kevin McGowan one day, and I kind of called a meg on him, and he's absolutely put me into next year. And the manager stood there, and it's a harsh lesson, but I still thought at that time, I'm going to show these guys and whatever else, and the guys respond to the challenge in kind, and it's one of those things that you stand up in that environment. We've got to be careful with the kids and understand the day and age has changed, that there's a mentality around protection and child protection. We've got to protect them. We can't expose them to things that are just not right, that were said previously. And it could be described almost as bullying, but it wasn't intended as bullying. But the world has changed, and we need to be careful around the protection of the kids and make sure that they get promoted in the right manner. I'll be as tough as I need to be on players in my team. If I feel they're not setting standards, then they'll know from me. You've got to do that in the right manner, especially with kids, because you can destroy confidence, you can destroy their own development, but they have to be ready to, come into an environment, stick up for themselves. I like kids that have got a wee bit about them, a wee bit of cockiness, but there's a fine line between confidence and arrogance, and you've got to make sure that they know that they've got to respect the guys that are in the team. So when we're bouncing off each other, when they're coming up and vice versa, it'll be good. One of the things that I'm really looking forward to is guys that maybe come back for injury for us. I've never had the opportunity to bleed them in for a couple of games, and you maybe even leave guys out longer thinking that they're not ready, whereas I've got the ability now to drop two of my players back and play on a Friday night. So if I've got guys coming back for injury suspension, they can get a game to get them up to game speed, and that'll be really, really good for the younger players to play alongside the guys who are in the first team and stuff like that. So I can only see it being a positive thing. The actual, how would I say it, the organisation of it really pleases me. The fact that it'll be on a Friday night, as Colin alluded to there, it means that you can get along to see them. But again, the fact that there's 30 teams in the west of Scotland that have applied for this means that everybody's now creating this conveyor belt of kids, and if they're not good enough maybe for one team, they'll find their way. Everybody will find their level. They shouldn't get lost to football. And too often, when they hit this age of 15, 16, 17, 18, they drop out of football forever, and we're losing boys. And I think this will be something that really allows them to stay involved and get hungry to play football longer into their adolescence and obviously into becoming an adult.
And in terms of the obviously set up is there's going to be the first team and then the 20s. Will you have kind of like the first say on the 20s if they want to come, if you want to bring them up to the first team? Will you be the first choice of that?
Yeah, obviously I'll consult with Derek, even and Glenn and that, and if they feel the guys aren't ready, then they'll tell me why. But if I think somebody's playing well and they're doing well, then they'll come into my team, and it's as simple as that. The guys will unfortunately just have to suck it up. It could be that they're losing their best player. That's probably how it is for the harsh reality of it. If they're doing really well for the 20s, they'll lose them to the first team, and they'll have to replace that. That's just the harsh reality of that. But what I will say to that is, their boys at this moment in time are 17. So they're going to need a wee couple of years development. Some will develop quicker than others, but they are a really good group at 17s. We'll hopefully add a few 18, 19-year-olds to bolster the squad and help them out in a physical sense. But the ones that are in that current 17s team that have done well, that will make the step up, then I'm excited to give them the time to develop and hopefully make it all the way through.
And what about, for example, trialists? Are you able to play the trialists, for example, in the under 20s league? Yeah. That way you could find out about a player.
As long as age, I think you're only allowed to play 2 overage players. I think that's the basic rule. But I could play a trialist if they're underage, or I can play them if they're overage, as long as we declare that they're only playing a maximum of 6 times. But it's a great tool for us. Things that you probably won't kind of think of offhand is we can shape up in training if we're playing against an opposition that we think I could shape up the guys maybe and say, look guys, I need 10 minutes of your time just to run through a few things and tactically prepare for the game coming in Saturday. And we've got guys that are of a standard that will push the first team guys. You don't want to do that if you're a first team player and you're asked to pick up somebody at set pieces. You know you're not playing in the Saturday coming, so it tends to be the bottom lip comes out and it doesn't get done to the same degree. Whereas if you've got the guys there that want to push themselves and compete, then they'll make it a tougher task for you. So aye, all good.
And finally, on that topic, what would your message be, Chris, to the players at the younger level, perhaps maybe aspiring to join the first team and work through the pathway?
I know, having seen them, there's a good 8 or 9 players that will get to a standard at this moment in time. There might be more, there might be less. It depends on progression, obviously. But again, there's 8 or 9 that I've kind of seen playing about that you go, he's got a chance, he's got a chance, he's got a chance. It just gives them the opportunity to push that wee bit sooner. You get to 16 and rather than playing under 17s, under 18s, under 19s and then I'm already, you get the chance. As soon as you're old enough and physically able to compete at 20s, you'll get a chance with us, and it means we can sign those players and lead them under our kind of wing, as opposed to being out there and you'll maybe get a chance somewhere along the line if you stick out. And that's kind of the good point for the kids. But our club at this moment in time, Colin mentioned Gary Brown there. I've got there's Alan McAlpine, there's Wally Shearer, Brian Lee. These guys have been very, very good in terms of wanting their kids to progress to the Buffs first team, mainly because they're Buffs men. but we've had that close link and we've been fortunate with that. This just kind of formalises things and allows us to really get a grip on that and control that from our point of view.
And just finally, Colin, we always talk about having a united front. Do you see this as a perfect opportunity to have a kind of united front across the entire kind of sports club, Conan Rangers and the sports club kind of combining?
Totally. It's been coming, as Chris mentioned earlier, there's been some people in the background that have been working on it for years. From my very first meeting with Brian Lee, it was a simple meeting about using the word badge. Brian's been instrumental all the way right through, and he's probably knocked a few noses out of shape to get it there. As with Chris, as with other guys, there's been a lot of falling out over the last 18 months about how things should go, how things should work. But it seems to be coming to fruition now. We seem to have a product at the end of it. It's been a long journey, but I think we're starting to get there. Everybody's pulling in the same direction. Even the sports club, the kind of them and us has disappeared. We're all working for each other. We don't just go down and maintain the Buffs Park. We go and maintain every park. When we buy something, we make sure when we buy fertiliser, we buy it for them all. When we buy grass seed, we buy it for them all. We look at our mini kickers just the same as we do with first team. Although we spend more time with Chris. But that's what we're trying to do. We've got to look after the bottom rung as well as the top rung, and in a short space of time, we're only 12 months when we moved, I think. So we moved about this time last year, although it seems like 5 years ago we moved, but it's getting there. We've obviously had all the problems to deal with Abbey Park beyond that, but that's getting to a resolution point now where we won't have to deal with that any much longer. So yeah, we're definitely getting there. It's looking great, and as Chris said, it's unique in North Ayrshire anyway, this setup. We begin at the end with that sort of facility. We're lucky to have it on our doorstep.
We've got a couple of questions popped into the comments. One's from William Johnson. He's asking, this is probably to both of you. I think Gordon Strachan made some comments in the press about kind of professionalism, I think it was, around clubs, kind of maybe at our level. Have you got any thoughts on Gordon Strachan's comments previously? If you don't know what that is, I'll dig it out. We can.
Yeah, I don't know. I think he said there was maybe too many professional clubs in Scotland. I quite like what Gordon Strachan's got to say on football, on development, on kids. He came from an era where we were extremely successful, and it's very easy to go down the route of looking at how the Dutch do this and how we do that and copy this and copy that. I think you've got to listen to guys who've been successful in the game. Of course, we've got to evolve. Of course, we've got to look at modern ways of doing things. Even ourselves at this moment in time, I'm looking to get a GPS tracking system in for the players that allow us to put in stats and everything else. There's a couple of clubs at our level that have got them. We're looking to do it. It'll mean the money comes out my pocket or out my budget, and vice versa. Colin, he's putting his fingers in his ears to this, but it's one of these things where Gordon Strachan's right. We probably have got too many professional clubs. Everybody wants a slice of the pie, but that's not to say that the semi-professional clubs, the part-time clubs, can't be more professional in how they do things to allow the kids to come through and give more of a talent pool for the bigger clubs to play. I mean, you can harp on all the time. I harp on about big Ross Stewart. Ross Stewart came to us, and the reason Ross Stewart's playing professional football is simply down to Ross's attitude. Ross just wanted to get better, and he had no limitations on how far he would push himself to get better. Obviously, he had talent, but it's behavioural with Ross. That's why he is where he is. He had a mentality that when he came to the first thing I asked him is, right, Ross, I've seen you play a couple of times. What's your strengths and weaknesses? He said, I understand what my strengths are. I'm a good player in terms of I've got a good touch and I understand the game. I've got a good awareness about me. My bad points are for 6'3", I'm not very good in the air, and as a striker, I'm not a good finisher. And I thought, sign this centre forward who's not a good finisher and can't header it. But the boy had an awareness and a willingness to go and learn and work on his weak points, and I think that's what Gordon Strachan's trying to allude to here. You'll not do that sitting just because you're a professional football player and you can say you're a professional football player. You've got to go away and you've got to work hard at your deficiencies. If I knew now what I knew when I was younger, I certainly would have a different attitude to the game when I was younger. youth is wasted on the young at times, but it's up to us to impart our knowledge on them and try and make them better.
Colin, you got any views on?
I think I'm going to take a different approach. I thought he was going to mean more about the clubs.
Clubs, yeah.
And the one bit that kind of struck us is we keep talking about the glass ceiling going up the way. Junior game's been glass ceiling for years. It means like clubs that are progressive can't move forward. They end up kind of trapped in a bubble, and you get anomalies in the system. Well, you get them at the other side. What, I can't answer this question. I don't know if there is an answer to it, but what have Berwick Rangers really brought to the game in the last 30 years? I think that's maybe what he was. You've got these clubs at the bottom that look how quick Berwick are dropping down through that system. Now that glass floor has been removed, we always talk about the ceiling, but the floor as well.
Yeah.
Now you've got you'll get clubs running about looking. Stranraer could be looking at some of these junior clubs that might potentially come up and replace them. The same as me and Chris always look at Dumbarton. The Conan's got twice the population. There's a lot of places like that. Forfar, Brecon. What have they been providing? Have they just been hanging on the coattails of the old firm plus 3 or 4 clubs and not really doing anything for the game? Whereas it now looks like, our under-20s development team, some of these clubs I've mentioned there don't even have an under-20s development squad. And then there you're 5 tiers or 4 tiers below with 30 teams, and some of the clubs at our level would have been first division clubs. It's no odd Premier teams. It's a good varied mix right across. So I think there's more hunger than at this end to get up the way than there is for the guys that are up there to hang on to it. And I think you'll see in the next 5 years, maybe definitely in 10 years, a seismic shift in the landscape of Scottish football, which should benefit it for players coming through.
And then on that thing, that whole point about the perhaps aspirations, what do you think Colin Rangers as a club could be? Firstly, Colin and Chris. We'll go for both of you now.
Go on, Colin.
Oh, I've always got to be realistic. So basically, this time of year, me and Chris sat down and I hit him with the realistic targets. Then he tells me he's going to win the league. But I've got to essentially run the club at the realistic target. And at the realistic target next year, we know to finish 14th. But over the years, with the facility we've got, the fans are coming back, the systems we're putting in place, we could definitely we'll go into the Lowland League. I think we'll go to the Lowland League as well. We'll go up one, and then you maybe get a year in the first division or whatever it's called then with reconstruction and back down and bounce around there a wee bit. I definitely think there's teams that we could not be disrespectful to them, but there's definitely teams that we could challenge with further up the system that we've not been allowed to get to. And I think that'll take us 3 to 5 years to get there.
Same question to you, Chris.
Normally my answers are long-winded, but this one, I think, if you look at if we're looking like for like in how the divisions are set up at the moment, I think Colin could hold their own at League One level at this moment in time. Given the infrastructure that we have, given the facilities we have, given the supporter base that we've got, it would take us a while to get there. Might never get there, but certainly given the setups of the club and comparable clubs of that size, then League One's a realistic ambition for the club over the number of years. You might find that reconstruction changes the landscape of Scottish football in that regard, but certainly I think we're more than capable as a club and knowing the people that are involved in the club to get to that type of level.
And in terms of, obviously, once we get the licence in, we'll be get access to the Senior Scottish Cup. Do you think that's going to be an important part as for the club, and how do you think that'll affect us?
I'd like to kick that off. I think people think the Senior Scottish Cup's a cash cow in some elements. I mean, Auchinleck, people draw that comparison because they're a club at our level. They've done phenomenally well to get to where they've got to over the last couple of years. But what there hasn't been is a number of licensed clubs below. The next time licensing gets opened up, there probably will be I would say around 20 teams looking to, get a license. So what you'll have is a bigger qualifying cup at the bottom end to get into what you would class the Senior Scottish Cup at some point in time. And whilst it's great and whilst you get opportunities once in a blue moon to kick on and use that as a growth for income. If you look at what BSC did last year, that's their first real foray into that, and they did particularly well getting to the round that they got to. Stephen's a good friend of mine, the manager there, and they probably picked up 100 grand plus for that run in the cup, which is it's that money is I think I'm using Colin's phrase, they're seismic for them to change their demographic of where they operate and how they operate. But for us, the realistic thing is you could qualify for the Scottish Cup through your licence and get put out in the first round by Bonus, somebody else, because the whole world is moving to that, and that cup can't be a cash cow for every single team that enters it. So you've got to be realistic with that. It'd be great to kick on and get the income that the teams that have got it at this moment in time, but you'll not get that every year just because you've got a licence.
All right, okay, moving on then to the squad that you're building, Chris. We've already announced Chris McGowan, Alex McWaters, Ben Lewis, Sam McCloskey, and your goalkeeper Jamie Bartley. Just give us a comment on those guys specifically first. We are going to announce the rest of the squad over the course of the next week or two, but just on those guys first and foremost.
I think out of them all, Ben's the oldest. That tells you. I think Ben's now 27. In fact, Jamie Bartley's 29, but relatively young in goalkeeping sense. But the guys you mentioned there have got a massive amount of experience behind them, even though you're young. And they'll become the nucleus of the team probably going forward over a number of years. So it's important to tie those boys down. They've got a good camaraderie amongst them. They've been together, those boys, other than Alex and Jamie, for a couple of years now. They know each other well. Chris, for me, is somebody who I'm excited to see at full strength. I think he's been really badly hampered with injury over the last year and a half. And even then, he put in some good performances at the start of last season. So I'm looking forward to seeing him do well. And as I say, we've got 16 boys signed up, and they'll fit right into the kind of squad and become mainstays for us and drive us on.
Are you still in the market then for more players, or that you feel like you've got what you need there?
No, absolutely. I'm still in the market for players. I'm still in the market for forward player, wide player, maybe one centre mid, and somebody on the right side as well. But again, for me, that depends on who re-signs with us. I've still got to speak to Gary Fleming, Adam. We've spoke to Adam, and Dean Agnew. I've spoke to Dean. Dean's finding this moment in time travel being a bit of a concern for him again. So we need to see what Dean's decision in that is. So it depends where we're at, who we're looking at, but you can always do with bringing in new bodies. I think that always adds to the competition within the dressing room. Boys looking over their shoulder, not knowing what they're competing against, means that they'll raise their game. So I'm looking to bring in players all the time. As Colin said to you previously, our ambition is to get better. And when we finished the league last year, we were destined for a top 3 finish minimum. For us to do that again, we need to get better again, because if you're standing still, you'll be sure that the other teams round about you getting better. So from our perspective, we need to be better again next year, but doing that within the budget constraints that Colin puts on me, then it's difficult. It is hard. I'm not going to lie in that. I'm going to say it's an easy job. It's difficult to improve on a good season that we had last year, given the financial constraints of the club. But I know it won't always be the case. We're doing a lot in terms of the infrastructure of the club, the building work. So it's hard to build a squad and keep improving on it. But one of the things that you've just spoke about there is getting those players in, and that means that we're kind of keeping that nucleus together, and those boys are at a good age, which if we can hang on to our better players, then we'll add one or two that will improve us.
And in terms of we're moving to the new league, has that had a positive effect on recruitment for yourself?
I don't know if that's had a positive effect, because I don't think it will change in terms of who we're playing against or the demographic of the league as such. But what I am seeing at this moment in time is there's a real uncertainty within professional level of football, like the SPFL teams, and there's guys who maybe wouldn't be looking at taking a drop into the semi-professional out with the leagues, taking a drop into that, because we can offer a certain amount of I would say security, because these clubs have got massive overheads, and the coronavirus is, unfortunately, that will, put a great financial strain on some of those clubs. We don't have massive overheads. We're working on a budget there that Colin says is realistic. The difficult thing for us will be the crowds and the sponsorship. It might mean we need to revisit it down the line, but based on the model of last year and based on improving, then we can offer guys concrete contracts that maybe they can't get just now with their SPFL clubs.
And what about the kind of like the facilities? Is that something you've been kind of pushing towards the new guys, certainly, that maybe don't know bus parking, the sports club?
One of the things that I need to do when I see the guys is to get them down to look at the place. Once they look at the place, they can see themselves playing football there, because it's a fantastic environment to play football, and that's something that we've got an advantage over most teams with. It's very easy for you to sell somebody something over the phone, but when you can actually show them it, it really kind of rings true to them. So anybody that I try and sign, I try and meet up. That's been difficult as well, obviously, due to restrictions and things like that, but I've been able to get these guys in over the last week or so since social distancing's allowed, and we've had them down and looked at the place, and they've committed, so it's kicking on for there.
All right, so we can probably at this point exclusively reveal two more. I say exclusively reveal, it's already been mentioned in the papers already. The two guys that you've signed, Adam Caldwell from Girvan and David Ramsey from Kilbirnie. Just give us a comment about those guys.
Yeah, Adam's got a good pedigree. Adam's been coached through the academy system, and he's been at a few clubs. He settled at Girvan there for the last year and a bit, and he's very athletic. He's certainly one for the future for us. He'll come into the first team squad right away, but he's young. He's got a good attitude and ability to play on the front foot as a defender, likes to get forward. So Adam's one I'm excited about. A wee touch of the unknown at our level, but what I really liked about the kid was that he took the chance. The opportunity was there for us. We showed an interest in him, and he was happy to commit. He knows it's a jump up in level that he's to the quality that he's been playing against, but it's one that he thinks he can bridge the gap, and I like that. I like the fact that he's willing to come in and push himself.
And obviously David as well, David Ramsey from Kilbirnie.
David has played against us with Kilbirnie. David's somebody who can play a couple of positions. I think his best position's through the middle as a striker, and he adds something different to what we've got up front at the moment. David's very pacey, plays on the shoulder of defenders and can stretch the game going in behind. So that's something that would allow maybe some creative players like Ben, Carlo in the forward areas, Calvin, Alex, creates a wee bit more room for these guys to exploit in different areas. So adds another string to our bow. He can also play wide at times, and that's good for us. But he's certainly somebody who's got pace, and having played at with Kilbirnie for the last wee while, he knows what the calibre opposition is. He was somebody who, again, he watched us at close quarters last year, liked the way we played, liked our style, and he feels it will suit him and develop him playing with better players. So I'm delighted to get David over the line, and hopefully there'll be a few more coming in as well.
All right, finally, just before we wrap up, we've got about 10 minutes left. So if anybody has any questions for Chris or for Colin, drop a comment in the YouTube or on Facebook, and we'll be sure to ask them, because I'm surprised there's been hardly any questions today. Usually the questions are streaming in, but there seems to be a distinct lack of questions. I don't know why. But we'll come to you, Colin. Obviously, it's a difficult kind of time in terms of, you're talking about the budgets there and things like that. What do you think the fans could do at this point? I know we launched the Bus Foundation. Maybe you want to talk about that as how important that could be to the club.
Absolutely.
Just continue to support the club where they can. You know, there's kind of volunteer weeks coming up. I think on Saturday there was a fair few folk down there that we hadn't seen before helping us. We get the delivery of all the materials for the roof, and Stuart McEwen and a few of the boys come down and helped us. With Stuart McCormick who are helping as well. You know, Alan Gilmer. If they want to come and help, it's not a case of organised. We just say we're going to do it a particular time to do something. Just turn up, pick someone up, and somebody will show you what to do with it.
All socially distanced, of course.
Yeah. And that's for anywhere. If anybody wants to come and strim the pitch, I'll show them how to use a strimmer, put a pair of boots and a pair of trousers on, and we'll get you trained in the strimmers, even cutting the parks, things like that. Anybody that wants to get involved. Last weekend, we had the Duns committee doing painting the fence at the back pitch as well. So they're coming down and helping out as well. So just continue to help out. Buy Father's Day cards. I get your wife to buy a Father's Day card.
That's it.
I think I'll be getting one of them. And it's hard for us. It's hard for us to fundraise at the moment, and we're not overly pushing it. But when we come back, one of the things they could do, which would make a lot of sense, is to support our sponsors. By supporting the sponsors, it makes it easier for us to go back to them, you know. And although some of these shops are open, and it does look like they're doing well, some of them aren't doing as well as you'd think. I was talking to one of our sponsors that's been open, and he's running about 40% of his turnover, to the point he's thinking it's not even worth being open anymore. So if you're needing a skip, phone Billy Bowie, use Beckett's the Butcher. Dino used to be a sponsor, but it was a sponsor of the club for years. Buy a fruit and veg for Dino. Use Beth Brown and the Candy Bar. I believe the Corner House is opening back up for takeaway food. Give them a shout. Basically, support local companies, because they've been really good to support us over the years. And that goes for up and down the town. I just can't write them off. The Redstone Chippy's another one that I keep forgetting about. But the Redstone Chippy has been in the back of the football kit for 4 years, and gives a good bit of money every year. So I give you guys a phone every now and then, just try them out. So I support my sponsors would be the main thing I could ask them to do.
Chris, you had something to say, did you?
No, the foundation will be a really big thing for us going forward, I think, to rely on a regular income. And you always look to clubs that are doing well and what they do. And Auchinleck, again, Darvel, another one, who have got supporters who pledge monthly amounts to the club. And that's income that can't be replicated. You know what I mean? It's free money. And I get that not everybody's in this at this moment in time to... in this position to be able to donate money. They might be tight in themselves. I totally understand that. But if you can afford to, then I would get signed up for that, and it helps everybody else. Colin's just hit the nail on the head there. We're a club for our community. We're a club for our town. And if you can support the people in the town and by spending your money in the town, then I think that's absolutely fantastic for the whole community, because it just leads to prosperity within the town, and that for me is a big thing. One of the things that really sticking in my craw right now is the vandalism that's happening again, and you need to know where your kids are. That's a big thing for the parents, is to make sure that the kids aren't being destructive. There's a couple of kids down the town, they'll remain nameless, that kicking a bottle about and stuff like that, and you think, it's innocent, I probably did it myself as a kid, but we really want to be trying to have a pride in a local community, and that's what the sports club for me fundamentally is about. It's not just about us having a good football team and being competing at the football team. It's to teach our kids the right way to behave around other people, social skills and whatnot, that's sadly lacking these days. So for heaven's sake, if we can support each other by spending our money, great, but if we can support each other by making sure we're behaving in the right manner about the place, then all the better for everybody.
Yeah, just touching on what you were saying, Colin, about supporting local businesses. I'll be one of the first to admit that before I was always going to your big supermarkets and all that and buying my food. But because of the lockdown, the situation, all that, I have been going to my local places, and you find that the cost to buy the products you maybe buy in a supermarket are just the same, and they're probably much better quality as well. So I definitely agree with supporting your local business and making sure you go to these places, and we do share from time to time on social media the different sponsors and things like that we are involved in. So check out Facebook and Twitter on that front if you're not quite sure who they are. So that's probably a good point to make. One thing I always like to think about when I think of Colin and Colin Rangers, I'll get your views on this. How lucky are we to be like a one club town? There's no other big side in the town. I think that's a really important part for us. And do you think what the fans really, or the people of Colin, should really try and embrace that, because we are that one team town? We don't have much competition from other teams.
I think it's actually, well, we're lucky from your point of view. However, we've got the Duns as well, and I say it quite a lot that Duns are kind of a bit of our pathway. They're in our club. Or no, we're in a club together is the right way to phrase that. We need to support them. We need that level of football to keep going. Amateur football, and that relationship's been fractured over the years, and we've kind of put it back together. But in terms of two clubs competing at the same level, kind of Meda and Vix, I suppose, is the big kind of comparison there. We're very lucky considering the size of Colin. When you think, I think Stevenson, Salkits and Ardrossan probably has the same population as Colin, and they've got 3 teams in there. So it's a benefit. However, not everybody in Colin supports Colin Rangers. We could be doing with another 100 of them turning up every game, which would be brilliant. But that'll probably come through winning a few things, moving up through the system, a couple of good cup runs. We need to give them something to come back out for, and that's essentially Chris's job to do that bit. So no pressure.
I think we're lucky to have the support that we've got. There's no doubt about that. I think we need to now park the contention amongst the support. I think that's been something that's been brewing for the last 5 or 6 years, that because our views are different, and I see this politically, I see it across the world just now. There's a lot of polar opposite views with people in black and white, and a lot of arguments. You can't have any middle ground. You have to be on one side of the fence or the other. There was the guys who didn't want to move, and I understand wholeheartedly why they didn't want to move. We've now moved. The club's moved on. We want to bring everybody together. We want to be inclusive as a local community club for our community. And if we can get behind each other, and rather than fighting against each other, it would be a massive saver of energy and time spent. And that's something that everybody who comes to support the club, it's so much appreciated. That you can't underestimate the value of a vociferous crowd that support you. And for too long, there's been people probably want to see Colin Rangers fail. And I take no pride in saying that, because ultimately they've been Colin Rangers supporters. But anybody who's stayed away, just get yourself back down and support the club. Nobody's going to hold it against you that you've had an opposite view for somebody else. We're all entitled to our views, but I think the biggest thing that we can do is get behind each other, push each other on, and make the club something to be proud of for the town.
Excellent. That's a great sentiment to end on, for sure. Just to round things up, say thanks again, Colin and Chris, for spending the last hour with us and having a good chat about where we're going. Next week we'll be back as normal. I took a couple of weeks break there. I'm referring to this as season 2 of Colin Rangers TV Live. We'll keep doing this through the kind of lockdown phase return to normality, and we'll perhaps do something similar when we can get back to normality. So you can support the club. Bus Foundation still all available. Colin, do you have any final comments just before we switch off?
One thing we need to try and work out is we need to have an AGM. So I talked to Jack last week, and he's preparing the financial statement, which we should hopefully have done. It says it take him about 10 days to do it, so maybe the last week in June we'll be looking to have an AGM. We're probably going to have to do the AGM on Zoom. Zoom is limited to 50 people, so we'll send an email and phone round our members, or season ticket members, and ask them if they want to come to the Zoom meeting. If we get it filled up, then we might try and do it twice. I kind of want to include more supporters in it. Normally we're kind of limited to a hall that only fits 30 people or something, so I was kind of wanting to do it. Maybe we could do it. It will be made available after the AGM, but I'd like everybody to be able to join it and have their say or ask some questions. So look out for some AGM stuff. That should be coming out in the next week or two, and we'll go back through the document a bit moving and where we are a year on. I don't think we're doing great in a lot of the parts. We obviously didn't expect to get held up with a lot of the planning permission stuff, and we didn't expect the building that we previously owned to vanish overnight and us have to go and get another one and then work through that. So we'll cover all that at the AGM, which we'll be looking to have before the end of June.
Excellent. I say thanks everyone for watching. We will have some more signing announcements coming over the next kind of 3 or 4 days. We'll have a couple of returning players we'll announce. We'll have another new player who's signed. We'll announce more towards the weekend, and you'll hear some. Pretty much most of the squad will be announced by probably the middle of next week. So keep an eye on social media. Check out the website. Colin mentioned earlier on. Faraday cards are available to buy £4 off the website. They'll be posted to your father, or you can get them posted yourself and you can send them out on your own. So check out the website for that. We'll still get some jerseys, home and away jerseys as well. We're going to run a wee sale on them fairly very, very soon. So watch out for that if you want to grab some blue and white hoops from last season, or the yellow and white away kit. I know, Colin, you're working on some new designs for the kit as well.
We've got a new kit supplier for next year. However, the design will pretty much be the same. But we have some polo shirts coming, tracksuits, rain jackets, and I suppose a coach's jacket will be the majority of the catalogue. So we'll order the first teams, we'll get theirs in, and then once we've got that settled, we'll put an order in for any fans that want one. They're a wee bit cheaper than the zoo stuff, so it shouldn't. It's maybe 20% cheaper than zoo anyway. So, but same quality. So you'll see that on the website when it comes up.
Excellent. Well, again, thanks everyone for watching, and we'll speak to you all next week. Cheers.